Hello everyone, this is my second video. Today what I'm going to be doing is making some stalagmites out of polymer clay. You can pick up polymer clay at any of your hobby shops like Michael's or AC Moore down here in the States. What got me thinking about creating some of these was I was watching the DMGInfo channel a week or two ago, and he made some really cool looking ones out of tinfoil and hot glue. So this is a different way to make them. I hope you stick around and watch the video, and let's get to the build. Okay, so here are the materials we're going to be using today. We have our studio modeling clay by Sculpty. It's a polymer clay, which means it requires heat to cure, to harden off. I'm also going to be using a little rock that I have to add some texture. Also using some wooden sticks that we're going to be using to provide some contour to the stalactites or stalagmites, and also our razor blade to cut that off. So the first step is to roll out the clay. As you roll it out, you want to be pressing down on one side a little bit more to make it a little thinner, sort of like a bowling pin or a stalactite. Now what I'm doing is I'm using the wooden stick to roll and provide some texture. I mean, if you take a look at stalagmites in pictures and stuff, they almost look like they are, forms, and then there's indented areas and forms, indented areas, forms, indented areas, rinse, repeat. So I've created one real quickly. I'm using our razor to cut it off. Set that aside. Got an innkeeper there for give you an idea of the scale of the scope or the size of these things. So that looks to be about the size that I want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make a couple more of these here. And yeah, they're really easy to make. And the clay is very cheap and inexpensive to get. I think it's $2.95 for a big pack of it. You could probably make, I don't know, geez, 100 of them, 100 of these if you want to make that many. So my plan is to make a bunch of them of various sizes, and then to cast some, or make a mold of some, and then cast some in resin. That way I won't have to handcraft all these, hundreds of stalagmites or stalactites that I want to make. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and finish up some more of these, and we'll move on to the next step. Okay, I've created a bunch of these. It maybe took 5 or 6 minutes. You can see there's various sizes and diameters and lengths on these. I wanted to have a nice little selection to choose from. So I got them on my glass sheet here, and they're ready to be baked off. So let's see what they look like once they're baked off. Okay, these were prepared in the oven for I set the oven for 225, and I baked them for about 15 minutes. So it makes them nice and hard. So you can see that using our innkeeper again there for scale, you can see we're ready to go here now that they have been baked off. Now what we need to do is create a base for these to be placed on. So we're going to be using some more polymer clay for that. So what I'm going to do is get a polymer, get some more clay, and rub it together to make it nice and malleable, soft. So we'll be able to get probably 5 different stalagmite sets out of these that I've created here. So what we need to do is go ahead and create the base for each one of these. So the one thing that's important with the basing is that I want to make sure that the base is at least 2 millimeters, a little bit more than 2 millimeters thick, because I want to be able to countersink the magnets in here so they'll stick on the dungeon tiles that I've created in the other videos. So what I've done is I've got the clay nice and soft. So what I'm going to do to flatten it out, I find it's always good to have a nice flat surface. So I just have a paint can here, and I'm going to use the top of it to just smash that down a little bit. That'll give us a nice flat surface to work with. Now, the smoothness isn't that important, because what I want to do is I'm going to use our rock to mash up the top of it and the sides of it a little bit to give it some texture. So just do some random patterns with different parts of the rock, and it gives you a nice little base to work from. Real quick and easy to do. So once I'm satisfied with that, we can take a look here, and hopefully you'll be able to see the contours that are in there. So it gives it a nice little contour. Now we're not going to be using this whole circular area. What we're going to do is we're going to be trimming off some additional ones, or the excess, once we've placed these. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to push these down into the clay like so, and try to keep them nice and vertical. So I will I'm going to be making differing configurations, some with 2, some with 3, and some with 4 on them. So this one here, I'll go with 3 on. Make sure it's nice and straight as possible. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use our straight edge to just cut the excess off all the way around the pieces here. Now I don't want it to be, I want this to be organic. I mean, these are obviously organic creations, and we don't want have like a nice square edge or anything around it. So what I'm going to do is trim this off in a rough oval shape, trying not to have too much of the straight edges. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use our rock, once I get this little notch cut out here, to actually rough up the edges as well. I think that gives it a nice sort of earthy feel to it. So we'll pull the excess clay off here and get that ready for our next base. Now we'll use our rock just to go around and push in on all the sides. So that what that's going to do, we're not going to have a nice sharp edge there. It's going to tamp it down a little bit and make it look a little more natural. So I'm supporting the ones I placed in the top as I do this, and you'll be able to see here that this adds a nice little touch to it. It makes it look a little more realistic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to finish this one up, and we'll create the other additional 4 stalagmite sort of sets, and then I can show you what they look like in a moment, and we'll be right back with that. Okay, now we have 5 sets of stalagmites that we have finished. You can see that they have a real nice texture to them. The bases do, and so do the stalagmites. They look pretty organic and pretty natural. So the next step will be to go ahead and bake these. And so we've got the bottom parts, the bases need to be baked in because they're not hard yet. So we'll get these guys baked in the oven, and we'll see what they look like when they are done. Okay, these have been removed from the oven after baking, and I've already taken an additional step of priming them with a grayish green primer base. So you can see that even without painting, they do look pretty good, I think. I like the contour lines and everything, but they're going to look even better when we get them painted up. So let's move on to the next step. Okay, I've already put another coat of gray on here, but the 4 colors we're going to be using are black, a neutral gray from Americana, an oyster beige from Americana, and a Americana cotton ball paint. So what we want to do is we want to have a blended darker to lighter as we go from lower to higher. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply the darkest layer around the base of these, and I ended up painting all the bases the darker color as well, so it's almost like these things are rising up out of the earth, which is sort of what they're doing. So what I'm doing is I'm applying the darkest coat on the bottom. And if you watch some of the guys that are really good painters out there, they talk about blending, and this is it's a lot more difficult when you're trying to blend cloaks and stuff like that. It's pretty easy to blend whenever you're just doing various striations like this. So what you want to do, if you can, is to do this while each layer is wet, so that you really don't see the transition line. It sort of naturally blends in. So what I'm doing is I'm moving from my black gray mixture to more of the gray only. And then the last one from this will be just primarily the gray, and then we're going to start mixing in our our oyster color above that. So we're starting to mix in our oyster to get the next sort of layer of or striation. And as you take a look, the reason I decided to go with this pattern is I was taking a look out in images.google.com and found that a lot of them look this way. So the older stuff on the bottom gets a little crusty, and the newer stuff at the top has more of the minerals in it. So so as we continue to move up, we're getting close to the top of the pieces now. I'm using an old ratty brush for this too. It's really pretty simple to paint. So getting close to the tip. The Sculpty actually takes paint pretty well after you have your primer on it, so you shouldn't have any problems with that. So the next to last highlight is going to be the oyster and the white. And then what we'll do when I feel pretty comfortable with that, the way that looks, is I'm just going to come back, put a little dab of white on the top. So that's pretty much it. That was speeded up, 300%, so it doesn't take too long to paint these up. So the last step we have here before they're ready is going to be the wash and the sealing on them. So I've applied a black wash to these, and you can see that it filled into the crevices nicely on these. I also applied some Minwax clear gloss. It's a water-based sealer, which provides a nice gloss and sheen to it, because when you think of stalagmites in a wet, damp cave, you anticipate them being wet and shiny. So now let's see what it looks like in game. Okay, so we finally see the fruits of our labor, a clumping of stalagmites in the middle of a cavern. I hope you enjoyed watching the video. I will be making some more here real soon. If you did enjoy it, please like it and share, and also subscribe so you don't miss anything coming soon. So I think these are some real nice stalagmites that can be made easily. The difficulty level is low. So thanks for watching, and please come again.